People are paying and you're enjoying the benefits of their tax payment. Why shouldn't you pay? That's the message.
Very well said. That was Mr. Samuel Sunday Ogbeson, the acting executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, at his very first outing as executive chairman. That was on Wednesday, the 25th of March. Mr. Ogbeson had earlier been appointed as the acting executive chairman of the FIRS on Wednesday, the 18th of March, just a week before. Last episode, we brought you highlights from that press briefing. We also began running an exclusive interview that we had with Mr. Ogbeson. In that interview, in that first installment, he did tell us who Samuel Sunday Ogbeson is. We also asked him what he would do differently during his tenure. And he did say that he intends to work with all stakeholders, the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, just as he also told us what he will require from staff and the government. Today, we are bringing you the second part of the interview. Enjoy it. You spoke about the fact that the taxman, using it as a generic term now, is not just what we're talking about, increasing the collection. That if there's a stable system in place, collections will improve. That's well said. But we do know that right now we have a higher ratio of oil taxes to non-oil taxes. And because we are not in control anymore, we need to improve our collection efforts for non-oil taxes. What are you going to do specifically to make sure that in no distant future, even after you hand over, that we'll have that desired higher ratio of non-oil taxes over oil taxes?
First and foremost, the ratio you are talking about here is not something that is rigid. It's not fixed. If oil continues to do well tomorrow, you will still have a situation where the ratio of oil is higher than non-oil. You can't beat that. It's unfortunate today that oil revenue is dwindling. That's why we are comparing both of them. There's nothing to compare. Set a target, your threshold, your benchmark. This is where you want to be. Work towards it. If today, in 2015, I am setting a target of 20% above what I did last year, and I can actualize it, what am I doing? I'm increasing non-oil revenue. But when you want to balance it against oil, and you think we're speaking sense, I don't see sensibility in it. But there must be conscious efforts from our side to make sure that I bring in all those that will enable non-oil revenue to go up. If tomorrow oil starts selling at $150 per barrel, you're going to have a situation where the oil ratio will be as high as 80%. Does that say FRS is not working? No, we're still working. So I don't always like people comparing both, because it's not as if the parameters are the same. You need to compare likes with likes. We have a situation today because oil is not doing well, because price came down to $50, even below $50 at the time. That's why we are saying they are now at par, 50%. That's not something to celebrate. Because if by the grace of God from June, it begins to pick up, and we are reporting 80, we are reporting 90, you're going to have a reversal of what you have today to something between 55 and 45. But that is still to say we're working. Now, presumptive tax regime, it's only 1 or 2 states that are doing it. And it is not even done with the support of the law. There's a window in the self-assessment tax regulation that says, oh, you can do you can do presumptive tax, which is an estimation of an income. It's more or less like best of judgment assessment.
It's BOJ.
BOJ. But this time around, it's structured in such a way that you identify over 140 straight sectors, and you are ascribing a rate of tax to each of those sectors. You're also categorizing them and distributing to 3 bands, depending on your size. Just like you have large tax, you have medium taxpayers, you have the micro. So it is with this presumptive tax. If you are small, if you are average, if you are large, there are 3 different bands that you have. You can fit into any of the 3 bands. It is not punitive. It is the beginning of the journey. You come into the tax net because we recognize you today, and we'll be watching you with the thin platform that we have to capture taxpayers and register them. Information will be going into that platform. It will be populated from time to time. We will know what the taxpayer in question is doing. If you suddenly buy a car and you want to do registration, because we are linked with Federal Road Safety Commission, that information comes on the platform. When the investigating officer or the reviewer is looking at the system, he suddenly sees that this man has bought a car. The information is populated on the platform. You can ask him. You are not quarreling with this guy. He comes the following year. It's not immediately you want to run to him to say you lied to us. He's coming against next year because he's in your database now. You can then ask him, well, last year you bought a car or a machine or a bicycle. You didn't disclose that income to us. Let him make some story. At the end of the day, you are going to agree that you need to increase the amount of tax payable for that year. That's how it continues to build up until at the end of the day we can get everybody on board. So that's a huge source of revenue to government. And we will implement it. Once it's approved by the minister and the Attorney General's office, the minister can sign regulation. It's easy for us to implement. Some of the states' governments are already happy that such a regulation is coming on board because now they will have no fear of any sort anymore to implement it in their domain. Before now, they've been wondering how to do what Lagos State government is doing. That's a successful state in tax administration. They want to be successful as well. But there's a lot of opposition in their state because where is the law? There is no such law. Now they have a valid basis to raise assessment on taxpayers within their jurisdiction. So that's just one source. Another approach is, I know the huge level of debts and arrears that we have today. I want to give it special focus. Special focus. If it will require redesigning our organizational structure, we will do so. My idea is, after 60 days, an assessment raised by tax office, if it's not collected, remove it from their plate. Don't disturb them. Let them focus on returns and payment processing. Let them focus on how to bring taxpayer to TaxNet. Let them focus on how to do registration. Let them focus on how to do taxpayer education, going around the wards, the local area, and encouraging people to come and file. Leave the tax office to do that. Bring these uncollected arrears to another group to pursue. And those ones will have the responsibility of every day going after debtors. It's a lovely idea. But today what you have is the tax office does everything. Once he's collected his huge revenue from one source, he closes his eyes. But there's still more time for improvement. But he wouldn't bother about that because he has reported positive collection. So let some other people focus on what is outstanding. I am looking at audit. I want our audit standard to be high. It's not just allowing every and Harris to go do audits. At the end of the day, it comes down to mere verification. Yes, they are bringing in money, but they could bring in more if you strategize around audit. These are my plans to increase non-oil revenue. And I tell you, all these are within the administration. We can do that within in-house. What about my engagement with outsiders? I have to talk to the Accountant General. Why can't we all be on a meter platform or gives mix to make sure that once taxes are deducted by the MDA, it flows straight into the account of government. Time value of money is guaranteed. They won't have opportunity to place money in accounts, in banks, or money going back to those who are the payers. That's engagement. I will talk to BPP. I have information about people who are getting big and huge contracts. Once they are also on that platform, they are hooked. Money comes seamlessly into the accounts of government. There are a whole lot of things out there that we can do. It's not as if we have not been doing them. It's just that we need to strengthen our monitoring system. just to ensure that we're getting what we should get.
You spoke about the taxpayer identification number. You are chairman of JTB. Later on in the interview, we'll talk about your job, so to say, as chairman of JTB. But the taxpayer identification number is so crucial to all that we have spoken about. At what stage are we? We know that the JTB is now anchoring. And at a point, those companies, those limited liability companies, or even enterprises because of VAT, who have the FRS thing, have to migrate into the JDB thing. You are an insider, like you said earlier. At what point are we now?
From the last statistics I got from the TIN project manager, it says about 32 states have keyed in, leaving 4 others. 3 of those others are not able to link in due to paucity of fund, not because they are unwilling. Our big brother, Lagos, they have their phobia, for working with the government because they don't trust us. It's our responsibility, to remove that fear and suspicion in them. I'm ready. Honestly, I'm ready. I'm transparent. I have attended Federation Accounts Allocation meeting in the past where the states are suspicious of the center. We need to douse that feeling.
We have a dismal record of filing. When you look at the number of companies registered on the CAC platform, on the register, and you look at the number of those of them registered and coming out to file, we have a very, very, very low record of filing compliance. What's your game plan towards addressing?
That was why we segmented all our taxpayers into large, medium, micro, and small. You'll discover that there's no problem with the large taxpayers. We know their number. They are not more than 600 in the whole country. And we can pursue them, they file. If they are not going to file, they give us reason why they won't file them but file later. But they are still filing. Now, the medium are similarly performing because they are with turnover of about 999 and 200. So they are equally responsive. We treat them with some kind of respect and dignity the way we do the other large taxpayers. The problem is with the micro and small. Look, it is the standard of today that is responsible for the wide gap. Yes. You say all of them must file return. In Accra, Ghana here, such levels of companies you call micro and small, there's a specialized regime for them for filing. If you go with one sheet of paper, provided it's stamped by an auditor, confirming that this is your turnover during that period, we use it to assess you. The self-assessment tax regime, that shouldn't be a problem. But you say they must go and file return. They have to, first of all, get a chartered accountant. They don't have 10,000 or 15,000 naira. In fact, auditors are now asking for 50,000. They don't have that kind of money. When they pay that, how much tax do they want to pay? We need to, that is also about strategy. We'll get there.
Madam,
let me to look at this, my documentation. Shall be complete,
Madam, it's your tax clearance certificate. But they say it is fake.
Fake? She be no see by giving money to help me to collect something.
Madam, you no need to pay shishi to collect your tax clearance certificate.
But the people talk say the money go help the thing to come out quick.
To get your tax clearance certificate is easy. Get your company registration certificate, ensure you have paid your tax in the last 3 years, then fill an application form, and you get it in 2 weeks.
Okay. So now why you seem to blame me, Abi?
In case you are in doubt, just go to any Federal Inland Revenue Service tax office and you will see the tax controller.
Now we are not happy. That see the thief, no more shopping my money again. Benny Motor.
FIRS, it pays to pay your tax.
At the close of the year 2014, the various offices of the FIRS went out on enforcement exercises, and that involved visiting these offices for whatever purpose. Are you planning any change in tactics for enforcement?
The law is the law. The law gives us power to do all that we are doing today. If you look at the FRS Establishment Act, it tells us you can do this. Engage multidisciplinary functions, law enforcement agents to help you do it. We're doing exactly that. But the question is, can we do it better? I say, yes, we can do it better. No civilized country, go check it out, in the West, in Europe, today, will carry camera, carrying policemen with gun to do tax administration. We do it because occasion warranted it. But I tell you, let's put a strategy in place first, and we'll see how it works. Of course, you know other enforcement options. The banks are keeping money of these customers. Can't I work with the banks to place a lien on the accounts of these customers? Can't I use appointment of agencies? An agent of a particular taxpayer, somebody who comes out or shoots out to represent his interest. Can't I engage with that fellow to hold back the revenue that is due to us? Enforcement. People who are collecting our money. Airlines are collecting. Telecommunications are collecting. Tech schools are collecting. Power industry, supermarket stores, hotels. People are paying. They lodge money in banks. Can I talk to their banks to give me my money directly? There are numerous enforcement options. We need to strategize to have a sign-off. And that's why I'm saying, in the revised debt enforcement management, I will give the directors in charge of debt management powers to liaise directly with the banks. That power will not reside at the headquarters anymore. The window here is the fact that the banks are our agents of collection. They are collecting banks. We have an agreement that says, do this, you will do for me. So I will explore that. If you cannot deliver this additional value I am including, please don't collect for me. And I'm ready to reduce the number of collectors to collecting banks to 7. If those are the ones that will do the job for me.
We are coasting home, sir. No man is an island. So there's no way you will not meet challenges on the way. What challenges do you envisage will come your way? I mean, the way of the FRS.
We've been having challenges all along. I think the problem has been we have not responded strategically. There will be challenge. I have challenge of people who are collecting money and not remitting. Are we not introducing a platform, the payment platform? That's respond to a challenge. You've been in the system for long. You know those days that banks will collect our checks and convert them fraudulently. But that has been addressed. The challenge of people collecting money and it's not getting to the destination. GiveMe will address it. Remitter will address it. We're responding. These are enforcement options as well. Just to make sure that if the taxpayer there will be incorrigible and will not comply with the law or cooperate with me, I have a duty to intervene. What do I have to do to make him do what I want him to do without the use of force? That's an intervention. And it is promoting compliance. I have challenges with staff. Staff who will go out and misrepresent the service. But we are responding. If we're getting information from stakeholders who is misbehaving out there, we'll be able to, clean up all the mess in-house. That's a challenge. There was a challenge when we saw that our people are not able to measure up with the demands of today. We asked all our officers to go to school. Everyone in Inland Revenue is a graduate. So challenges will come. It is how we respond to these challenges. When we saw that the informal sector is impenetrable, we are responding now by introducing presumptive tax regime. God, let it work. The main challenge where you have a lot of complaints about payment of taxes is the question that what is government doing with their money? That's not within my remit. But you can see what government is doing. The Minister of Finance, at the end of every month, will publish the amount of collections available to the tiers of government and how much is going to each of the states and local government council. That's the first step. Let the people at the local level, at the state level, understand how much has come to the state, and they can then hold their state governors and local government chairmen accountable. So much came. What did you do with it? That's the beginning of holding people accountable. That's the beginning of being transparent. Every now and then you see the Honorable Minister of Finance demonstrating and showcasing what government is doing. See the Abuja Express Road? If there's no money, will they be able to construct that road? These are visible things. So we'll continue to talk to taxpayers. Well, this is what government is doing. Let's pull the resources together, and then the critical value is there. Government can then put hand in it and use it to you can imagine if you have to ask anybody, okay, don't pay taxes anymore, but go and take care of your security, go and take care of your light. Man, where is the money going to come from? Some of these things require capital inflow. But that's what taxes will do at the end of the day.
Finally, I want you to become a seer. Look into the crystal ball. We wish you a long tenure. But then just look 2 years from now. Where will the FRS be? Where will tax administration be? Taking the JTB along. You are chairman of JTB. 2 years from now.
If I have a vision which is aligned to the vision of the FRS, it says deliver quality service to taxpayers. It is in collaboration or in partnership with stakeholders. That's the dream. And I want that delivered. I want in the next 2-3 years to have a service, a tax administrative service that documents processes and procedures. A tax administration that has all tax rulings put it. Look, this Inland Revenue had done these things before. It's not new. It's just not there today anymore. We call them T-series, technical series. That's the quick reference point when any inspector is in doubt. He goes to that document. Oh, what does this say? How is this to be treated? How is this to be explained to taxpayers? It was T-series then, but the advancement I'm making now is it will not just be limited to the office environment alone. It will be available to tax agents. It will be available to companies. It will be available to our officers. So no hiding place for anyone anymore. So a tax officer cannot say, but this is the way it is to be treated. This is what your rule says. And that tax ruling will be in line with the provisions of the law. My brother, if you have that document, I tell you, taxpayers who before now are not voluntarily complying, they will understand their rules towards economic development, and they will do what is required of them. All I want is sustainable revenue flow to fund government programs. That will continue to be delivered. It is doable, and we will not fail the country.
Every day, my people dey for work. Some dey do office work. Some get them own business. So all of them want good road, constant power for better life. Whether now office work, oh yeah, pay your tax. Whether now your own business, oh pay your tax. If you want a better life, oh pay your tax. Now your civic responsibility, pay your tax. Better soup, now money cook am. Oh yes. Nothing goes for nothing, my brother. If you want potable water, security and hospital for make life jolly.
That's right. Good roads, good hospitals, portable water, adequate security all come from taxpayers' money. Play your part in making Nigeria great. Everybody, small scale, big companies, entrepreneurs, do the right thing. Pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
We thank you most sincerely for agreeing to talk to us. We wish you a successful tenure.
Thank you.